Okay, hello everyone, it's Katie here. Hopefully this is live. Please let me know it's working. It's Katie here from Abridge Academy. Great to see some people tuning in. So today's webinar is a quick introduction to the Abridge Academy curriculum, particularly aimed at anyone who's new to the curriculum, maybe recently signed up and want to learn more about how to make the most of the lessons, how to access the resources, how to find things, any technical questions you might have about the website and so on. So yes, we're going to be relatively quick in getting started, so there's a lot to get through and I want to keep it relatively short for everyone to get that key content they need. But if you'd like to just quickly introduce yourself in the comments, let me know where you're tuning in from, let me know that the live stream is working, which is always great to know. Occasionally there are technical issues. It's just great to hear if anyone's able to get the chat to work. It's always good. Also, if you're just tuning in and you've never heard of the Abridge Academy curriculum and you're wondering what this is about, welcome. Great to see you. You can also learn more about the Abridge Academy curriculum by visiting the website, abridgeacademy.com/curriculum. So yeah, okay, I'm starting to see more people tuning in. That probably means our emails have been coming through, which is great. So welcome to today's live. We're getting started probably in about a minute or so. And in the meantime, please introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And welcome to today's live webinar. Great, we've got Armin joining us. Hi, thanks for joining us. That's on Facebook. Good to know that's streaming fine on Facebook. Thank you. And we've got JJ, lots of J's tuning in from the USA. Awesome. Fantastic. It must be quite early for you, I think. I'm in Japan, so it's 10 p.m. in Japan right now. I think the US is like the complete opposite end, maybe around 9 in the morning, something like that. So thanks for joining us. Fantastic. Okay, it's good to know that it's streaming fine here on Facebook and on YouTube. Awesome. Okay, great. Looks like the viewer numbers have stabilized, so hopefully that means everyone's been able to tune in who got the notification. So thank you everyone for joining us. Just a very quick introduction to me, if you've not seen me around before. My name is Katie. I'm the director of Abridge Academy, and today's webinar is all about how to get started with the Abridge Academy curriculum. Okay, great. I have somebody in the comments, load of people. That's good to see. Awesome. I mean, from Armenia. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Joe tuning in from the US as well. And mystery Facebook user from Hong Kong. If I can't see your name, by the way, you just need to click on the links somewhere around this video to authorize Wave Video to access your name. And it's always nice to know who's joining us. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so Abridge Academy curriculum, topic of today's webinar. I think most people tuning in probably came from my email notifications because you recently joined the Abridge Academy curriculum and you'd like to learn more about how to make the most of the curriculum. So today I'm going to show you how to find things on your member dashboard, how to place your students at the correct level, how to find the lessons and how to make the most of the different activities in the lessons, how to find supplementary resources to go alongside the lessons, and also any questions you have, please feel free to drop them in the comments anytime during the live and I'll be able to answer them and show you on the screen exactly how to do everything if there's anything you're confused about. So that is the plan for today. Without further ado, let's jump in to have a look at the curriculum. So this is what you should see when you first log in. Can I move my face? It's blocking things. Well, let's just make me bigger so you can actually see me. There we go. Okay, so when you first log in to Abridge Academy, the link is below. If you're tuning in and have no idea what Abridge Academy is, there's a free tier you can sign up with to get started. Links just underneath this video, abridgeacademy.com/curriculum. But once you've signed up and you're logged in, you should be taken to this page, which is your member dashboard. I'm just going to move my face over here so it's not in the way of some of the important things. Ooh, where's my face gone? There we go, almost. Okay, so on your member dashboard, there are various different things and it can be a bit confusing if you've not used Abridge Academy much before. So I'm going to quickly run through some of the key things. Let me hop across to the right tab. Here we go. So firstly, you'll see there's a header menu all along the top. This is different to the menu when you were logged out. So when you log in, the menu changes with stuff that's relevant to members. In particular, if you hover over curriculum, you find the link to the curriculum dashboard, which is the page we're on right now. It's where you'll normally be redirected after logging in anyways. You find a link to the levels guide, more on that in a moment. You find a link to various platform guides. This is very useful if you're using a different teaching platform and you want to know how to use the Abridge Academy lessons with various teaching platforms, including Koala Go, Zoom, SuperKids. I know these ones are particularly popular with many of our members. You can also use the curriculum with any platform that allows screen sharing or that has a co-browser system. I particularly recommend co-browser I particularly recommend co-browsing platforms like Koalago and SuperKid because these allow your students to more directly interact and engage with the interactive curriculum materials. But you can use a screen sharing platform too. So there's some guides here to help you with that. There's also a link to our Facebook group. You'll also see a big icon on the homepage for this as well. If you've got any questions or suggestions or want to share resources that you've made that supplement the curriculum, the Facebook group is a great place to network with other Abridge Academy teachers and discuss ideas. So that's the main bit in the header here under curriculum. You'll also find links to various courses we have. There's a free one about teaching on Zoom. There's going to be more free courses added about some other teaching platforms too soon. And there's also some other courses relating to marketing, which might be particularly relevant if you are trying to find more students for your online ESL classes. You also find links to webinars. This is upcoming webinars and also replays of previous webinars, including this webinar right now. Link to our blog, where there's lots of useful, interesting articles, how to browse if you've got material there. There's a link to refer a friend. If you want to recommend friends to Abridge Academy, you can get $5 per successful referral for anyone who signs up to the curriculum, which is a great way to sort of earn a little something by sharing the Abridge Academy love and inviting other teachers to join us. And of course, there's a link to your account information, like your account details, finances. If you want to change your membership, that could be upgrading or downgrading your membership, cancelling, changing your card details, that kind of thing, you can do in the finances section here under my account and log out bar too. So this is the main links in the header menu. Those can be quite useful to have a look at if you're trying to find some key things. Let's have a look at the other stuff on the dashboard though. So it should say welcome and then your name. If it doesn't say your name, either you're not logged in which case please log in, or under my account and account details, you can change your name to match your actual name. Sometimes people have used a nickname or an email address or something, and it's just nice to have your personal welcome message here. So it should say welcome Katie, or your name, to your curriculum dashboard. Then you know you're on the right page. You can access this page anytime by clicking on the Abridge Academy logo in the top left corner while you're logged in. So if you click on the logo, it takes you to this member dashboard page from any other page on the website. If we scroll down a bit, you'll also find links to the main teaching materials. And this is where most people will be going when you first log in. So there's two parts to the curriculum. There's a step-by-step curriculum, and further down there are the expansion courses. So to just explain this, the step-by-step curriculum is kind of what it says on the tin. It's step-by-step lessons, a bit like how a textbook works in guiding you through from the beginner up to higher levels. It's a step-by-step series of lessons. The idea is to provide students with a really strong foundation in English, and it's going to be the core focus of most teachers' classes, depending on what you're teaching. But most teachers will be focusing on the step-by-step curriculum. You'll see it's sorted into 4 levels at the moment. They're focusing mostly on beginners classes right now. There are more levels planned for the future, but at the moment it's a beginners curriculum. There's also links to the phonics course and the old core course. If you've been with us a while, thanks for joining us again. You'll know that way back, like a year or so back, we had a different curriculum structure that's now been changed and updated. But if you've still got students following the old structure, that's a link there to find the old curriculum structure. But in general, you'll be wanting to click on one of these level 1 to level 4 to find the relevant lessons. We're going to click through and have a look at that a little bit more in a moment to find specific lessons, but that's just a quick overview. If you've got the core curriculum membership, that includes all the stuff in the step-by-step curriculum section. If you've got the ultimate membership, that includes step-by-step curriculum and the expansion courses. So if you're an ultimate curriculum member, you get access to these expansion courses too. If you're a free tier member, or if you're a core member, you also get a small number of the expansion course lessons for free. So free tier members get like a taster of all of the different lessons and courses that are available. Under expansion courses, there are quite a lot of these courses, so they're organized by level in these different tabs. So it defaults to the A1 level. And you click on the different tab to find different lessons available for different levels, depending on your students. So these are the different levels that are available, and then you just click through onto these to find the actual lessons that make up that course. These expansion courses are designed to be additional practice alongside the core lessons. So maybe your students are having 2 or 3 lessons a week, and you might want 1 or 2 of those lessons to focus on the core curriculum, But then you want one lesson that's a bit more interesting around other topics, or focuses on something they're specifically struggling with, in which case you might want to look at the expansion courses for that extra lesson. You can also use these expansion lessons if you want like a short series of lessons. That can be useful if you're teaching on a platform like OutSchool or AllSchool, where you can create short courses that kids can sign up for, or if you want to run like a summer camp course or something like that, which is always very popular with parents. Okay, so that's expansion courses. And then if you scroll down the very bottom of your member dashboard, you find some links to the latest lessons that are most recently been published and to the latest blog posts, which is just useful if you want to get some updates on what's changed since you last checked in. Okay, that's a very quick overview of the dashboard. We can now jump in and have a look at the lesson specifically, but I'm just going to jump back across to see if there are any comments or questions that have come up. Okay, we've seen a few more people tuning in. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for joining us. We've got Ivy joining us. Ivy, by the way, runs SuperKid, which is one of the teaching platforms we particularly recommend, as it has a really great co-browsing platform, so it makes the lessons really interactive. So thank you, Ivy, for joining us. And if you're a member, do check out SuperKid. There's a link on your member dashboard in the curriculum guides, platform guide section to learn more about SuperKid. Really recommend it. Okay, and we've got Emily joining us. Emily saying, Abridge Academy, go to English curriculum, highly recommend it. And Katie's amazing. Thank you so much, Emily. Really, really appreciate your support, and it's always great to hear such wonderful feedback. Emily actually made some really great Koalago classroom resources to go alongside the Abridge Academy curriculum, particularly the phonics courses, which we had a webinar about, must have been a couple of weeks ago now. So do check those out. Again, the link to that is actually in the blog section and in the phonics course and in various places. So thank you for joining us again today, Emily. Awesome. Okay, if anyone's got any questions, by the way, please do pop those in the chat and I'll be happy to answer those as we go, because it's always useful to be able to show people live how to do everything. I think for now, though, we've covered everything, which is great. So let's jump back across and have a look at the first thing you want to do with a new student, which is placing them at the correct level. So to do this, if you go to the member dashboard, and then you go to the top of the screen in the header menu, and you find the levels guide. So member dashboard, go to the curriculum section of the header menu, and then find levels guide, as you can see on the screen here. And this levels guide is going to help you place your students at the correct level within the curriculum. There's lots of useful information on this guide, so I really recommend having a read of this, even if you think you're quite familiar with the curriculum or you're very confident in placing your students according to their CEFR level. This is still a very useful post to have a quick look at. So firstly, it compares the curriculum, the Abridge Academy levels, with various other companies you might be familiar with. So if you've taught previously and you have students coming across from a different teaching platform, you can have a look at these. For example, I used to teach on PowerFish. So if I had a student from PowerFish who then decided they want to take private classes with me, and maybe they're at PowerFish level 4, I would know that corresponds to level 3 of the Abridge Academy curriculum. So that can be an easy way of matching up students if they've already got a kind of placement based on materials or classes they've been taking with another platform. And you also see links to the various Cambridge levels. So if you're teaching students for the Cambridge exams, or they might be using textbooks and things in school that correspond to different levels, this can be something to look at. Now, the Abridge Academy curriculum is actually aligned to the CEFR levels. So the CEFR levels, CEFR stands for Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. And it's one of the main ways that language teachers can sort of structure their teaching. It's sort of assigns students at different levels according to various competencies, various skills they have in the language. For example, someone at A1 level, which is like a complete beginner's level, maybe they can speak some very simple sentences in the present simple tense, that kind of thing, but they might struggle with more complicated sentences. And when it gets to A2 level is when they'll be looking at I don't know, past perfect tense or something like that. So CFR levels is a very useful tool. You can use this to place your students according to their level. I'm rambling. Let's go on. If you scroll further down on this page, you'll also see a very detailed spreadsheet. I recommend opening it. There's a link here to open in Google Slides, which is just easier to look at. But it's also embedded on the page. And this spreadsheet compares Abridge Academy with all those companies we mentioned before. If you scroll down, it also gives really detailed descriptors of what kind of content is covered in terms of reading and writing, phonics, speaking, listening, grammar. And if you're teaching Chinese students, there's a Chinese translation of a sort of quick overview of that level. So this is really helpful to get an overview of what the levels mean. And finally, something I'm always getting asked is about placement tests. We do have plans in the hopefully not too distant future, but at some point in the future, to create placement tests specifically for the Abridge Academy curriculum. But the technology side of that is actually quite complicated. So for now, what I'd highly recommend doing is using the level tests that are provided by Cambridge. Cambridge Assessment English is obviously a very well-known and reputable company that can provide placements, and these are free. They have these free placement tests. They're very short and very quick to do. You can do it maybe in a demo class with your student or in the first class together, or you can send it to them to do for homework. Make sure they do it themselves. Don't like have their parents helping them. If they're kids, you know, sometimes the parents help a little bit too much and then you don't get a very accurate measure. But you can also send them to do at home and just ask them to send you their score. So these are very quick and easy to do, and it'll give you a CFR level, which you can then align with the Abridge Academy levels according to this overview. So that's what I'd recommend doing in terms of placing your students. Okay, talking about, let's have a look if anyone's got any questions on this. Looks like we're okay, which is good. Awesome. Okay, so you've placed your students at the right level. Now we want to find the lessons. Let's go back to the dashboard. So click on the Abridge Academy logo in the top left corner anytime to go back to your member dashboard. So it's slow loading today because I've got lots open at the moment with the live stream on as well. Okay, so back on our member dashboard, and let's have a look at some of the lessons. We recently finished off level 3. Level 3 now has all 10 units available and all of supplementary deals and stuff. So let's have a look at this one. So when you click on the level sort of link, it takes you to the level overview page. You'll notice this page looks a bit different to the previous pages, and particularly the menus have changed. So this is the overview page about level 3. You'll find that in the header menu, so at the top of the screen, you'll find links to the other levels. So maybe you accidentally clicked on level 3, but you want to check out level 4, you can easily jump to a different level. And on the left-hand side, you can find links to all the different units that make up that level. So you might have a student who's, I know, working on unit 4, lesson 3, and you can easily jump to that in this left-hand side menu here. And it's also just an easy way to see an overview. Now, if you look on the main page itself, we've got a kind of image title thing called level 3. And if you scroll down a bit more, there's a bit of information about this level, and it just gives you a quick overview of the main topics. So it's saying this level, this is level 3, it's CFR level A+, like the upper end of beginner's level, with more of a focus on grammar than in some of the previous levels. So this is the point at which students are going to really consolidate their understanding of the grammatical side. Whereas if you look at level 1, they're just learning like simple words and set phrases. Now they need to understand the grammar. In particular, this level focuses on the present continuous tense and the future tense. So this is a useful thing to look at to get an idea of what this level is about. It tells you the lessons are all for 25 to 30-minute classes. That's the same for all of the levels. And you can find lesson previews, workbooks, and flashcards for all of these lessons. So it's a quick intro. And if you scroll down further, there's more detail about every unit that makes up this lesson. For level 3, there are 10 units available, so you can scroll down and see all of the units that make up this level and links to each specific lesson. And also the workbook links are here as well, so they can be more easily found. Now, I know sometimes teachers ask how can they share information about the curriculum with parents who are interested in buying classes with them or want to have an overview of what their students are going to be learning. I would recommend you can send them this page. This page is accessible even if you're not a member yet, so you don't have to log in actually to see this page. You have to log in to see the lessons themselves, of course. But this overview page you can send to them directly if you wanted to, or alternatively you can just save it as a PDF. So your web browser will have an export to PDF option, and you can just export this page as a PDF summary with all the information about the units and the lessons that make it up. Or you can screenshot if you wanted to. Yeah, this is a good overview that parents might find useful as well as helping your planning. Okay, let's have a look at any questions that have come up so far. I had actually one teacher message me recently asking a question about the numbering system, so I might just quickly clarify that before we look at a specific lesson. So if you had a look on the units here, so for example, let's have a look, it's not just number 1. So unit number 3 is about weather and clothes. You notice each lesson has got a kind of code next to it, like 332, 333, 334, and they're going up incrementally. And similarly, if we look at unit 4, which is about school activities, it's, oops, I need to renumber that. There was a typo. Okay, let's skip that one. Unit 5 on hobbies. These units, these lessons are numbered with information about the level, the unit, and the lesson specifically. So 351, musical hobbies. This lesson is in level 3, so 3 is the first number. Unit 5, lesson 1, so it's 351 is a lesson code. So whereas if you've got unit 6, you'll notice that middle number's gone up now to 6 because we're looking at unit 6. And maybe lesson 4 would be 364. Level 3, unit 6, lesson 4. This code can be really helpful just as a way of you keeping track of what lessons your students have completed. If you're kind of having a spreadsheet or some kind of booking system or something, and you want to track what lessons they've done, these codes just make it a lot easier. That's the idea of those. But I am rambling again. Let's have a look at a specific lesson. So we're in level 3 at the moment. The most recent unit that has gone up is on travel. And this unit is focusing particularly about making future plans with going to and will, to talk about the future tense. So if we have a look at lesson number 2, I think I picked out as being a nice one to have a look at. So you just click on that link. You can also find it in the menu on the left-hand side, the sidebar menu if you prefer. And this will take you to the lesson page. So you title at the top, again with that lesson code, if that's useful for you. A quick summary of what the lesson's about. The slides. Underneath there's a list of the learning objectives. This is helpful to copy, paste, and send through to parents if they want to just know what the plans are for the upcoming lesson, or what they did already in the lesson in your feedback. And then there's various downloads and links here, including a preview you can send to students before the class. This preview has got the kind of core information from the lesson, like the new words, the dialogue, the grammar points, and it also has audio recordings available. So if your students want to know how to pronounce the words correctly, they can click on the audio and play it in both British English and American English in those lesson previews. This is really important because students need to know, like if they're previewing a lesson, they need to know how to pronounce the words correctly. So hopefully this is helpful for you. So works available, these can be used in the lessons themselves if you want to, or you can send the students for homework. You'll find PDF files and also an editable version on Canva if you want to edit the workbook at all yourself, and maybe you want to add in some extra things or change it a bit. You can use the Canva link. And there's also flashcards available for the keywords as PDF or as a Canva editable version. So that's what you get on each lesson page. Here are the slides themselves. So let's have a look at this lesson. This particular lesson is lesson 2 of this unit. So let's start with review and then it's going to jump into the main learning content. Just to summarize the point of this lesson, this lesson is focusing on the future simple tense and asking questions about future. You'll find that also in the learning objectives. There's the vocabulary we're going to learn and the grammar points, future simple tense, asking yes/no questions in the future simple tense. So that gives you a quick idea of what this lesson is. So you always start actually some quick questions. We're good. Awesome. Okay, so let's have a quick look at how these slides work, how you can use the different slide tools, and some advice to make the most of the different activities in this lesson. This is the same for most of the lessons. Similar activities you can have in different lessons as well. So this lesson is about packing. There's always a few intro slides. For example, the greeting section. This is maybe a 2-minute quick chat with your students at the beginning. How are you today? How's the weather? This is reviewing stuff they should already know. Things like days and dates, for example. Students, if they've learnt them once, they'll often forget them. So having this in your sort of warm-up greeting section means they're constantly reviewing these kind of vocabulary and ask them what they're learning in school at the moment, that kind of thing. Okay, now we have a quick review. This links to the previous lesson. So if you look inside, you see the previous lesson was about travel locations, which basically was deciding where to go on vacation, sorry for you Americans, deciding where to go on vacation and why, like what each place is famous for. So there's a matching activity and you can drag and drop the words to match them up with the images. If you're using co-browsing platform like Koalago or SuperKid, you can give your students the ability to click and move things on the slide so they can do this themselves. If you're using screen sharing platform, it's usually not possible for students to directly click and move things, but what you can do instead is just say, okay, first picture, what's this? It's a historical site, and then you move it for them. Next picture, what's this? Like, what is person? What adjective describes them? They're famous, okay, and move it like that. So depending on what platform you're using, you may need to tweak the way you do the activities. I should also point out, by the way, I've got this just in the minimize mode, but if you want to put it in full screen mode, in the bottom right corner, there's a little button, and you can see a link to open it in full screen mode, and also to open the kind of overview, which actually you click on, I'll show you. The overview just lets you jump easily between, it takes a while to load, lets you jump easily between the different slides that make up this lesson. So that's just there. I've left this in the minimize, like smaller mode, just because I'm using Wave Video screen sharing at the moment, and it doesn't work really with full screen mode because it's not designed really for this sort of setup. Okay, so this next activity is a matching one. Again, it's still reviewing what they did in the previous lesson, where they learned how to say blah 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 country is famous for something. So, for example, Switzerland is famous for mountains. Spain is famous for beaches. Italy is famous for historical sites. And Dubai is famous for shopping. This is a review of the previous class. If your students are struggling with stuff from the previous class, you can always quickly open up the previous lesson slides just by jumping to that lesson in the sidebar menu. Okay, and I'll start with the main content of this lesson. And there's always a summary of what the main things are, and if you click on these, it'll jump to the relevant section of the slides as well. So this lesson is going to focus on words for different travel items that you're going to pack in the suitcase is the topic of the lesson. The future simple tense, this is actually a little bit of review and then asking questions in the future simple, and then discussion about packing. So the new words actually always look something like this. You'll have the words, and there'll be audios that you can play in both British and American English. There are pictures for each word. You also find that the words are color coded. I think this might all be nouns. Here we go. We have some that aren't just nouns. So here, my face is covering the slides. Let's just move me over here. So if you have a look on these slides, you will see that to pack is written in blue because it is a verb, whereas a photo is a noun, so that one is in pink. So we have different color codes for the different parts of speech. This color coding is also used in the flashcards. So if you send your students the flashcards, which they might want to print out to use in the lesson, as well as in review activities. And of course, you can use the flashcard yourself to quiz them during class. The color coding matches up there as well. Okay, let's just jump back to the slides. There we go. So we've got the new words, and you click to play the audio. Unfortunately, you can't hear it right now because the Wave video that I'm using for the live stream doesn't share audio, but these are in British and American English. I'd also say a few other useful tools on the lesson slides themselves. For example, there's a pen tool in the top right corner. This can be helpful if you want to, I don't know, circle something on the screen. Maybe you want to highlight stuff. You want to emphasize that we have to put the article before the noun to take a photo, not to take the photo, or not to take photo. Make sure your students remembering this word, for example. So you can circle and doodle, smiley faces, and write all kinds of stuff with the pen tool. And when you want to delete it, you can just click delete and it removes it. There's also in the top left corner a little button that's like a help or suggestions tool. If you click on that, it comes up with these teacher tips, which are suggestions of what you could do in this particular lesson. So here it's saying with the new word slides, you could ask students to repeat the new words. You can use flashcards if you printed them out to practice the vocab. You could ask the student to make a sentence with each new word, and so you're practicing that new vocabulary rather than just getting to repeat back all the time. I recommend using flashcards, by the way. In your teaching platform, most teaching platforms have the ability to like jump between screen sharing mode and your video kind of mode. So you can jump between looking at the slides and then looking at just your videos and doing the flashcard kind of as a quiz, that sort of thing. You might also want to jump across to a whiteboard section of your platform and practice making sentences within new words, depending on what your students need to practice. Okay, so that's just the new words bit. Then we have a few activities that review the new words, so just checking the equal at this point. This is the very beginning of the lesson. And again, this is a drag and drop matching activity. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I know we're on a time pressure here, but they just drag and move things on the screen. Quite straightforward. Oops, that's the to pack. Where's suitcase on? Suitcase to pack. Passport. You also notice that when they get the answer correct, it pops up with a little reward, like a trophy. Now, some teaching platforms have got a built-in reward system. I've mentioned already a while ago at Super Kids. I know a lot of people use ClassIn. I personally recommend ClassIn that much because it struggles a bit with the interactive tools. But these ones all have reward systems, so you can click like a star or a trophy or a confetti reward or something like that, this is your little reminder prompt to do that. If your teaching platform doesn't have rewards, like maybe you're just using Zoom, then this is in itself a kind of reward for the student to see that they got it correct. Then after that, this one, the previous slide was a little bit easier because they just had to match things up. Now they're having to recall the word completely from memory, and you can just click on each image to reveal the answer behind. So you say to the student, what's the green item of this? Is a camera. Click on it. Yes, it is indeed camera. Just click on each of them to reveal the keyword behind. Okay, now we're going to move on to the grammar points. In the previous lesson, they learned a bit about the future simple, and it's also been covered in previous units as well, the basics of the future simple. Today's lesson is going to focus on asking questions. So we have a quick overview slide, and you can get your students to read out the example sentences. You can have a little role play. Maybe you want to change it up a bit. I'm hungry, I will make a sandwich. Well, actually, maybe I don't want a sandwich. I'm hungry, I will cook dinner. Whatever. So practice making sentences using these examples if you wish. Should be review for students in this particular example. And this example of another kind of activity we have on the slides. These ones are dragging and dropping to make a complete sentence, checking that they're able to put the words in the correct word order. This is really important if you've got students whose native language uses a different word order to English. For example, I currently live in Japan. In Japanese, they have a different sentence word order in sentences. The verb always goes at the end of the sentence, whereas in English, the verb goes after the subject of the sentence generally. We have subject, verb, object, whereas Japanese is subject, object, verb, word order. Anyway, a bit of a linguistics note there. So your students can practice moving these into correct places. You notice here it's still color-coded to help your students match them up. In later more practice activities, they won't be color-coded. Now they have to do it from memory. This is kind of a teaching opportunity to match them up with the colors as well. Again, when you get correct, a little trophy pops up. And there's another one. It's the same idea. Just to practice making sentences with future simple, with will. I will something. It will something. Okay, another review activity. This is looking at will versus won't. Again, this is something they looked at in previous lessons, and it's important to review for today's class. And this is a drop-down quiz. I really like these kind of activities because students really have to think about what they're going to pick as the correct answer. So here it says, I don't like hiking, so I something go to the mountains. When the previous lesson, they learned about how if you like hiking, you should go to the mountains on holiday. So if you don't like hiking, well, I won't go to the mountains. And they have to pick the right answer. So it's relatively straightforward. They just need to click on the correct answer. Again, if you've got students on a co-browsing platform, they can click and do this themselves. It's so much more engaging. Whereas if you're using a screen sharing platform and they can't click, just give them the choice and they say which word you want to click on. When you've done the quiz, you click check to check that they got the answer correct. And it'll pop up a little trophy if they got it right. If they got one of them wrong, it'll show it in the score here, and you'll see, okay, one of them was wrong, let's find the mistake, correct the mistake, and so on. I'm going to jump across. No one's got any questions so far. Looks good so far. Fantastic. I've just realised my face is like squished on screen. There we go. If you've got any questions, by the way, please do feel free to ask questions as we go along. This could be about slides. It could be about anything else to do with the curriculum. Any questions you've got, please do ask. Okay, so now we're going to learn about how to ask questions in the future simple tense. And we've got the question here, will it be sunny tomorrow? Now, so far they've done subject followed by verb, right? It will be sunny. So now we're looking at the sentence structure, will it be sunny? And you'll see we've highlighted in the relevant colours those keywords to point out this to the students. And how to answer questions. If you click on these prompts, it'll pop up with the answer. You'll see there's this little hand symbol. It's a bit small on the screen right now, but there's a little hand that sort of wobbles and looks like it's clicking. That's a prompt to you as a teacher. That's a clickable thing that it's pointing at. If you're ever not sure about what's meant to be interactive on the slides at any moment, on the top right corner there's this show interactive elements button. If you click on that, it will pop up with a little prompt where the interactive bits are to help you. So you can click on these and then practice with the students the responses. They've already covered negatives in the future simple, but there's just a reminder here that won't comes from will not becomes won't, or not won't. So practice with your students this new grammar point. And then we have various activities that are practicing, firstly, how to make questions, and then how to respond to the questions. And again, you'll see these little hands that sort of drag up and down, showing there's a thing that can be moved on the slide right here. So she will go to Spain tomorrow. And it's little arrows just pointing out to students what they need to do. So this is more a teaching slide rather than a quiz slide. This becomes, will she go to Spain tomorrow? Again, emphasize the students the idea with a question, the subject and the verb switch places to form a simple question. There are multiple ways of forming questions in English, of course, but in this particular example, this is what we're focusing on. Your sister will take lots of photos. That's the statement, making it into a question. Will your sister take lots of photos? You see some nice pictures on the slides, and you can also use this opportunity to ask students to make their own questions about other topics. Maybe they're still struggling with this concept at this point, so you could add in your own images, like with flashcards, or jumping across in a new tab, just Google some images that are relevant that you want to ask questions about as extra practice if you need to. But that's just a quick intro how to ask questions. And then we have another game. This is one of my favorite games. It's a kind of quiz type thing. It randomly generates different, not randomly, they're preset, but it generates different prompts for you to make sentences with, or in this particular case, in this lesson, is to ask a question and then practice answering it. So you click on the little spinny wheel thing to spin the wheel, and it pops up with a picture and some keywords. So what they need to do in this particular lesson is make a question using the keywords rainy and Friday. Remembering this lesson is about asking questions in a future simple tense. So in this case, the question would be, will it be rainy on Friday? So your student practice making that sentence structure. You might want to get them to write it out, either on a separate whiteboard system, depending on your teaching platform, or on the slides themselves. Again, this depends on your teaching platform as to which features are available, but they practice writing out, will it be rainy on Friday? And then you ask them, what do they think? Will it be rainy on Friday? Yes, it will. No, it won't, and practice. And then you just spin the wheel again to get the next example. This is great because if you're a bit pushed on time in the lesson, you can cram this into like a minute or two. If you want to extend the lesson with extra practice, you can do, in this case, 6 different options you see on the spinny wheel. Some of the other times this game comes up in other lessons, there could be like 20 different options. The idea is they don't necessarily answer all of them. Is you pick a few times depending on what you need for that class. So here, similar kind of question, will it be sunny tomorrow? Yes, it will. No, it won't. Will he play basketball at the weekend? Yes, he will. No, he won't, and so on. So it's an opportunity to practice what you've been learning so far. In some of them, you can have multiple different options for questions. Will you play basketball at the weekend? Will he play basketball at the weekend? Different ways of phrasing the question to practice those as well. And rambling. I don't know if it can give you an idea of what kind of activities you can do with these slides, and also how to expand on some of those activities if you'd like to. And then a lot of the lessons end with a dialogue section. The idea is this is an opportunity for students to see these grammar points and vocabulary and things from the lesson in a more authentic dialogue, and they can also then use it themselves in discussion. In this particular case, it's a dialogue about Amy and Tom, who are 2 main characters that come up in most of their lessons. Amy is going to Spain tomorrow. That was told in the previous class. They learned about Amy, really excited for planning her holiday to go to Spain. Now she's about to leave. She wants Tom to help her pack her suitcase. And you see throughout this dialogue, they're practicing the I will something. Will you do this? What will you pack? Yes and no kind of questions as well. Will you go swimming? No, I won't. I don't like swimming, so I won't pack my swimsuit. Just practicing these new grammar points. There's also audio here. Unfortunately, these won't play through Wave Video right now, but on your teaching platform, vast majority of teaching platforms will play the audio, and it's in the preview for students to listen to before the class as well. And you can play the audio, get the students practice saying it. You and your student can take on the 2 roles in the dialogue, or if you're teaching a group class, multiple students can take on the different roles. You can also get a student to modify the dialogue a bit. So maybe Amy's not going to Spain. She's actually wants to go to Korea tomorrow. I'm so excited to go to Korea tomorrow. Change up some of the words. You can use a pen tool just to change things on the screen. And so on. So this dialogue, there's only 1 or 2 pages, 1 or 2 minutes with the dialogue. And then there's some practice activities. Another drag and drop one. I'm so excited to go to Spain tomorrow. Will something help pack my suitcase? What's the missing word? We learned that when you have a question, you always switch the object and the auxiliary verb. So will and you have switch places. So will you help me pack my suitcase? And so they drag and drop and move these on the slides. This is all reviewing, and the gaps in the dialogue are specifically focusing on reviewing the new grammar points and the new vocabulary for this particular lesson. So not just random. They've been able to focus on the new grammar points or things they've done recently, like should was taught relatively recently. So that's a quick review of that. And of course, when they get it right, the trophy pops out as a nice reward. And it continues. This is exactly the same idea again. It's the next part of the dialogue, and it's a review. This time it's a drop down to fill in the gaps. I will pack my camera to take photos. Will you send me some photos? Of course, I will send lots of photos. Will you go to Spain by car? No, you won't. So practicing those questions again in a more authentic dialogue. And then check the answer it's correct or not. The trophy pops up. Let's be on. Okay, the very last part is then a more open-ended discussion. You could modify the dialogue, as I was saying from before. You could change up the dialogue a bit and practice it with your students if they want to have a little bit more prompts to look at, like those set sentence structures. They can then tweak. Whereas the more open-ended bits is for them to make their own sentences from scratch. In this case, it's planning a holiday and specifically packing for the holiday, which is the topic of this lesson. Where will you go? What will you do? What will you pack? So it's a more open-ended discussion. I would recommend on these kind of slides, jumping across to your teaching platform's whiteboard section and writing down some notes on the different things they've said and making sure they're writing their sentences with the correct grammar, things like that. This is at level 3. So at level 3, students should be able to make their own sentences. They should be able to write sentences as well. And of course, this is a discussion. So you want to speak and practice using it. But it's an opportunity to check that grammar and things too. This lesson is quite a grammar-focused lesson, you might notice. Okay, at the end of the lesson, there's always a summary slide summarising the key points. There's like the vocabulary, which again, they can just drag and drop and match. Just quickly review. And again, with this, if you've got some extra time or you need to practice it a bit more, you can get to make sentences and things at this point using the new words. And then there's the main grammar points from today. If you click on them, they open in full screen. So if you notice, this is very small on the screen right now, but there's a very little magnifying glass as you hover over it, showing that there's a full screen option for that image or that thing that you're hovering over. So in this case, if you click on that grammar summary, it pops it up into full screen to discuss it more with your student. They need extra practice. Click on it again to minimize it. And do the same with the next grammar point. So that's your summary slides. And then congratulations, well done, good lesson, and so on. And you can end your class there. Okay, that was a lot of me talking you through a lesson. And I know for most people that was maybe a little too long, so I have a tendency to ramble. But hopefully that was useful to get an idea of the kind of activities there are on the slides, what kind of things you can do to extend a bit on those activities, add extra practice in, depending on the needs of your students. I'd also point out as well, as extension stuff, if you scroll down on this lesson page, there's a downloads and links section that I mentioned earlier as well. Obviously, the lesson preview, that's what you send to students before class to make sure they've previewed the vocabulary, the grammar points, the dialogue. But there's also the workbook flashcards. And sometimes there are also links to extension activities like word wall games, sometimes like YouTube videos that are relevant to that particular lesson, sometimes supplementary worksheets, things that have been made to supplement this lesson. This particular example is quite a new lesson, doesn't have loads of supplementary materials yet, but there is the workbook and flashcards. So if you feel that your students need extra practice, I would highly recommend using the workbook in particular. It's got lots of additional practice questions specifically linking to the lesson. You can either do this in the lesson itself. Now these lessons are designed for like a 30-minute class. You'll see there's quite a lot of content in the lesson, particularly if you're doing a lot of practice and engaging your students in more discussion. Don't just power through the slides like we just did then. Engaging your students in discussion and getting them to practice writing out their own sentences, things like that. It's quite a lot just for a 30-minute class, that particular lesson. So if you want to also do practice on the workbook, you might be looking at extending that lesson to a 45-minute or 55-minute class. So you can use the workbooks for that. Extra practice during class, or what I personally like to do is send it to students as a homework task for them to do at home to review after the class. So that's what the workbooks are there for. They're PDF files, both British and American English versions, and there's also a Canva link if you want to be able to edit the workbook, add in extra activities or tweak it according to the needs of your student with the Canva link as well. You notice the workbook's called British English and American English. This case, the slides were the same for British and American English, so there was just one set of slides. In some cases, there's a difference in like the vocabulary or the sentences and stuff that used in the lessons between British and American English. So there'll be 2 sets of slides on the lesson page. So keep an eye out for that. But let's jump back and have a look if there's any questions that have come up. Okay, we've had a question here from Jagana. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. Can we remove your logo with purchased materials because we add our own logo? Unfortunately, it's not possible to remove the Abridge Academy logo. That's on the bottom left of the slide. So I'm just going to be a bit of a mess right now. Notice in the bottom left corner, there's a little Abridge Academy logo. That does stay fixed on the screen. One thing you'll notice, though, if you open it in full screen mode, it kind of disappears very small into the corner if you don't want to make it super obvious to your students. But because these materials are copyrighted, they're owned by Abridge Academy, the logo does stay there, and we can't remove the logo, unfortunately. But that's a great question. Thank you for the suggestion. Yes, I hope that answers the question. I would try to keep the logo is very unobtrusive, is that the word? Inobtrusive, small in the corner. So hopefully it's not too distracting for students, and it doesn't cover lesson content. But yeah. Okay, Annie's asking a question. Is there a way to see how far through the lesson we are so we don't finish too early or too late? That's a really great question. First thing I'll say is highly recommend previewing the lesson before you start, just so you do have an overview anyways. But yes, you can have a look at the overview lesson. If we go back to the slides, in the bottom right corner there's this little 3 dots, which are the options, and you see there's a full screen button, and next to the full screen button there is a thing that says slide number, and also show all of the pages that make up this lesson. So if you look at the slide number, it's a bit small on the screen here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Oh, actually your message is covering it. Sorry, let me just scroll down it. So in the bottom right corner here, if you click on that little menu, you'll see the page number here. So in this case, we nearly finished the lesson. It's a well done page. This lesson, page number 23 of 25. By the way, the last 2 pages are always just a goodbye slide. And there's a draw a picture slide, which is sort of an extension bit if you want to do some extra practice. Depending on your teaching platform, they might not have a whiteboard section, so you can use this as a kind of whiteboard area in that case. Also, you can click on show pages to jump to a different page. It also gives you an overview. So for example, maybe we want to go back to practice making the sentences again, or like the future simple. Students still making mistakes with it. Let's just hop back to the slide. You can do it like that. And it also tells you where you are. When you click on show pages, you can see kind of very all the pages that make up the rest of the lesson. But yeah, sorry, to answer the question as short as possible, bottom right corner, click on the options, and then you'll see the page number, the slide number, and how many slides in total make up that lesson. So this is page 10 of 25. So you can use that. Bear in mind that the last 3 slides are like ending slides. So they don't have any learning content. Okay, I'm rambling. I hope that helps, Annie. Thanks for the question. Okay, mystery Facebook user. By the way, if you see your name, it's always nice to see who's tuning in. And there's a link somewhere to Wave Video to authorize us to see your name. But mystery Facebook user is asking, can we integrate our own slides? That's a great question. You can't edit the lesson slides themselves. As you see, they're built into the Abridge Academy website. They're kind of fixed. So you can't edit the slides themselves or add in your own slides directly to the lessons. What you can easily do is just have them open in another tab. So for example, maybe you've got some Google slides that you've made, or your own Genie slides, or a different curriculum, or other supplementary resources you've got. You can open them in new tabs. And then within your teaching platform, just quickly hop between different tabs. And as you practice that, it does get a bit more smooth. I've done that myself with students when I've created supplementary resources. And you have to be relatively quick, just hop across to a different tab where you've got other materials. Or maybe you've got PowerPoints on your computer. You can just screen share the PowerPoint or something if you're using a screen sharing platform. But yeah, so short answer, no, you can't integrate your own slides directly into lessons, but you can just hop across, hold them in a different tab. Okay, any other questions? I think we got most of them. So I do ramble a lot in these webinars, but I hope it just gives you a bit of an overview of how to find things, how to make the most of the lessons and the slides, and what kind of lessons are available. If you're a free tier member, by the way, this is one of the pro lessons like so available in the paid memberships. Hopefully gives you a bit of insight to some of the other lessons that make everything up. But yes. Okay. Oh, mystery Facebook user. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found that helpful. Thanks. Cool. Okay, in which case, I think that is everything. If you've got any further questions at all about the curriculum, you can always comment under this video with a question and I'll be able to see it. Or you can just send me an email at katie@abridgeacademy.com. There's also a contact link on the website if you're struggling to send me a message, you can just drop us a message either in the Facebook group, send me a message via the contact us page, which is like an email form, or just comment under this video if you've got any further questions on anything at all that you would like to ask. So yes, that is everything. Let me pop out of screen sharing mode, go back to my not so beautiful face. So thank you so much everyone for joining us today. As I said earlier, I hope you found this helpful. If you just stumbled across this randomly and you've sat through a whole 50 minutes worth of video, thank you so much for joining us. Sign up for the Abridge Academy curriculum at this link over here. This link, abridgeacademy.com/curriculum. We have a free tier available if you try out a selection of lessons for free. And then, as you see, when you upgrade to the pro version, you get a bunch of access to a whole load of additional lessons and materials as well. But yes, feel free to sign up for free at this link if you want to just check things out. And thank you for watching this huge video. So yes, thank you everyone for joining us. Gosh, I always massively overwhelmed. This is meant to be a half-an-hour webinar. But anyways, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening if you're here in Asia like me. And I just had a comment from Ivy. Thank you, Ivy. I'm glad you found this helpful. Thanks. Really appreciate your feedback. Awesome. Great. Okay, yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us. I am going to hop off because it's kind of late here in Japan. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Happy teaching. And of course, any questions at all, you can always reach out to me anytime. So thank you so much.